The giant's claws pulled him down as if to tear the savanna apart. But only a roar from the buffalo herd echoed back. Could the hunter now keep his life? The indomitable giant. The black buffalo's rage makes the lion run away. Dawn crept over the horizon, dragging a thin golden light over the cracked plains. The dry grass tilted in the wind, revealing the fine dust that floated in the cold air left over from the night before. From afar, the ground seemed to tremble. The sound was deep, steady, and heavy like the drums of an ancient tribe. The herd of Cape buffalo appeared, dense and dense, like a river slowly flowing through the savanna. In the middle of that flow, one figure stood out above all. Kubu, a mature male with a broad back like a mountainside smoothed by time. His black fur was covered with a thin layer of frost, his sharp curved horns gleaming in the morning light like two axes forged through countless rainy seasons. His eyes were calm, but hidden within them was a layer of coldness of someone who had lived through too many trials of fire. Kubu left the herd earlier than any other individual. He walked slowly toward the muddy ground that still had some moisture left. His heavy feet each step seemed to stamp a mark of power on the ground. The cool mud clung to his two front hooves, cooling the heat in his massive body. When he lowered his head, his breath came out in two white mists that gradually dissipated into the air. Behind, the buffalo herd continued their journey. The dust rose in hazy streaks, wrapping around the early morning sunlight to form a thin curtain hanging over the steppe. Above, the sky was clear and quiet, as if holding back its own breath. No roars, no sounds of hunters. But the silence was not peace, but rather the moment before a great storm, when everything stood still, waiting for an invisible violence to come. In Africa, there was a creature that few wanted to confront. Not the lion, not the hyena. But the giant that carried the storm that never ceased. Kubu raised his head, staring straight at the endless savanna. His eyes showed no warning, but somewhere a small tremor came from the ground. No predator appeared, but his instincts knew. Something was watching his every step. Not a sound, just a tiny change in the wind that only those who lived long enough could read. The savanna beneath him lit up bit by bit, but in that light, another darkness was rising from the far edge of the land. A danger that did not roar, did not rush, but was approaching. And Kubu, the indomitable giant, was the first to feel it. The savanna shifted as the sun rose a little further. The last of the dew evaporated from the grass and left the ground dry as if under a curse. Kubu left the mud. The dirt stuck to his feet, falling in small, dark brown flakes. Heat began to rise from his giant body, and with it an alertness more instinctive than any sense known to man. Then a slight movement crept through the air. Not a sound, not a tremor. Just a change in wind, carrying a very thin, very faint, fishy smell, but enough to make Kubu raise his head. The plovers pecking at insects under the grass suddenly shot straight up into the air, scattering into a small cloud. They didn't cry. They just flew. And the way they flew was what told the savanna that something was coming. In this land, what you hear is not necessarily scary, but what you don't hear is often the end. Kubu stood still, his ears swiveling slightly like two wind-detecting fans. A moment of unusual silence lasted. The familiar sounds of insects and grass rustling all disappeared, as if someone had used a hand to extinguish them. Under the tall grass on the right, a pale yellow curve was crawling slowly. The breath of the creature behind it was so thin that it almost blended with the wind. Three low, long, compressed yellow shadows approached bit by bit. Lionesses. Masters of the arts disappeared, but always present. Their fur blended perfectly with the burnt grass. Their eyes did not blink, did not hurry. Each step was light, as if the savanna were supporting each hoof. Kubu did not see them yet. But the savanna did. And the savanna spoke to him in a language only those who had lived long enough could understand. The herd of buffalo, which had been there before sunrise, lifted their heads a little higher, stretched their nostrils, and inhaled deeply. The smell was more distinct. The smell of lion fur, the scent of the hunting grounds that had lingered since the night before, the scent of a pack that had followed. A gap opened in the grass. Not large. The size of a small antelope. But that was all the lion needed to choose its target. Kubu was the target. Not the herd, not the calves. But the one who had been cut off from the mainstream, standing in the middle of the clearing without a guard. The three lions stopped in the grass. The wind slowed. One of them lifted its head, its yellow eyes more visible through the grass. Their breathing was low. Their bodies were taut as bowstrings. No roars, no footsteps. Only the cold certainty of three hunters preparing to right the end of a giant. Kubu didn't know they were there. He only knew the savanna was out of rhythm. The birds stopped. There was no reason for things to stop like this, except for one. Cape buffalo are born the size of a rock, but attacks are always aimed at the moment they are alone. Kubu stood there, bathed in the early morning light, his breathing heavy, his gaze creeping across the grass, where three deadly shadows were compressed, waiting for the right moment. In the savanna, there was no siren. There was only a single moment when hunter and prey looked in the same direction, and the space between them began to narrow. A very small sound rang out from the grass, but it was enough to make Kubu instinctively turn his head. At that moment, the ground right next to his waist exploded, as if someone had pulled the grass carpet. A lioness jumped straight onto his back. The entire weight of nearly 150 kilograms hit Kubu's back, causing him to tilt his body. Its claws dug deep into the thick skin, creating two long, crimson tears. The savannah exploded. Kubu jerked his body. All the muscles under the black skin rolled up like stretched ropes. The lion on his back was jerked back half a beat, but its claws clung tightly, not letting go. A sharp bite hit his hind leg. Kubu fell to the ground with one leg. At this moment, any buffalo could have ended. And most did. The savannah seemed to freeze in a single moment. Buffalo and lion, earth and blood, wind and breath, all mingled in the chaos of a perfect ambush. Kubu tried to stand, but his legs trembled with every step. The weight of the three predators was pulling his center of gravity down, inch by inch, as if to sink his massive body into the ground. The buffalo fell. That would be the end. Far behind, the buffalo herd began to make noise. A few of the females let out low, drum-like bellows. They couldn't see Kubu, but they sensed the disturbance from the ground through their hooves, a signal the species trusted more than any other sense. The herd was turning. Far away. Kubu was still trapped between the claws of three hunters born to kill with persistence. A new wind blew, not carrying the scent of lions, not the scent of buffalo, but the scent of death, the kind of scent that only appears when the savannah knows the end of a creature. Just as Kubu seemed about to fall, the ground shook again, stronger, thicker, as if dozens of boulders were rolling down the distant hills toward the battle. A deep, rolling, roaring sound rose from deep within the earth like muffled thunder. The buffalo herd had returned. And this time, they were not running. Black shadows emerged through the dust, large, heavy, shoulders as broad as cliffs. Each pair of curved horns pointed straight at the lions, gleaming coldly in the sun. Their eyes were dark red, filled with the primitive anger that only appeared when the herd was threatened. A young bull roared first. roar tore through the wind, scraping through dry trees and slamming into the lions trying to hold the perimeter. The lioness on Kubu's back raised her head, her ears twitching. She heard that sound, the sound that signaled death could come from a direction she did not expect. Two other buffaloes charged from two directions, their massive bodies tearing dust from their hooves. One jumped up the small slope, putting all its weight on its horns, and then rammed straight into the side of the lion that was biting Kubu's leg. The lion was thrown off the ground, spun in the air, and fell hard into the dust, curling up in pain. It roared weakly, trying to stand up, but one leg was already broken. The savannah shook. This was no longer a hunt. This was a counterattack by those who never abandoned their own kind. A female buffalo, but her eyes lit up like two burning embers, charged at the lion that was about to leap. She charged forward, her horns hooking the soft flesh under the lion's belly, lifting it off the ground for a brief moment. A sharp screech echoed, the sound of a flesh being cut by something not meant to be cut. The lion fell, rolling on the ground, dust swirling around it. In that moment, the hunter's pride was crushed by the madness of the buffalo herd. The strength of the entire savannah gathered into one mass. The other buffaloes rushed forward in an arc, heads bowed, breathing like angry war horses. They stomped hard, the dirt under their hooves exploding with dust like small mines. In that circle, each lioness understood what books never told her. A hunter could also die under the horns of this prey. A lion tried to roar in threat, but was answered by 3 stomps from 3 different directions. The air shook. The grass bent in time with the angry rhythm of the buffalo herd. There was no choice. The leader of the herd took a step back. Then 2. He half-turned, his eyes still torn between Kubu and the surrounding buffalo. But instinct told him that a second's delay here could see him torn apart. The other 2 followed, low to the ground, tails drooping in confusion and fear. They retreated, not roaring, not turning, the silence the predator's most grievous admission of defeat. In the dust, Kubu breathed heavily, in bursts like bellows whistling over hot metal. An old bull approached, gently touching his horns to his flank, not to ask, but to confirm that his member was not dead. Black eyes followed the fleeing lions. No chase, no show. Just standing there, fierce and full of power, as if the savannah had just witnessed the return of a throneless dynasty. And in the center of the encirclement, Kubu lifted his head, his breathing shallow. The buffalo knew they had won. Not because the lions had fled, but because they had fought as a unified force that would have made even Africa's most fearsome predator retreat. The sun was creeping westward, stretching the buffalo herd's shadows across the cracked earth. The dust of battle had settled, leaving only the dried blood on Kubu's back and the deep hoof prints where they had stood. The afternoon wind carried the scent of dry grass, the scent of the lion's defeat fading into the evening light. Kubu walked slowly, but each step was as sure as a stake driven into the savannah. Oxpeckers landed on his back, rummaging through the scratches, picking up the torn skin that had been the clearest sign of a battle that had nearly cost him his life. Beside him, the young buffalo moved closer, a few pairs of young eyes looking up at his massive body, as if looking at a rock they believed would never fall. In this land, there are those who are called kings, but there are those who do not need a throne and still force all other species to be wary. A single black buffalo can fall before its claws. But a herd of black buffalo in a rage can make even the hunter run away to save his life. The herd gradually moved away from the blood-soaked ground, merging into the sea of yellow grass, turning color under the sunset. Tomorrow there will be new hunts, new deaths, new challenges between tusks and curved horns. But today the savannah chose to remember one thing. There are battles where the prey does not bow, and there are moments when the power of the herd is greater than the title of predator. Kubu did not look back. He just kept walking, carrying fresh wounds and an old truth that the savannah had whispered for ages. As long as those horns stand straight, the storm in this giant's chest will never be extinguished. Savannah still has many secrets. We have only just begun to open the first door. If the story of this indomitable giant has captivated you, there are many other battles waiting for you out there, where the hunter can become the runner and the prey can become a legend. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next survival journeys among the red dust, fangs, and horns of the Savannah warriors. Like and share if you want more people to see the power of those who seem to be born to run.
The surface of the water seems calm, but a nightmare awaits below. When the two rulers of the water meet, there is only one chance to survive. The battle begins. The wild Serengeti. The battle of life and death between crocodiles and hippos. Under the deep blue sky, the Serengeti stretches endlessly with golden grasslands, where life and death intertwine at every moment. In the middle of that wild land, the Mara River winds like a reddish-brown silk ribbon, carrying the silt and breath of the entire ecosystem. This is the lifeblood that nourishes all species, and at the same time, a fierce battlefield where hundreds of thousands of lives cross each year during the Great Migration. Every ripple, every bend contains the secrets of nature, always ready to explode at any moment. Here, there is a ruler who does not need to move much to hunt. A huge black shadow, like a rough log floating, motionless in the still water. Nile crocodiles. Masters of ambush, the ones that make any creature that sets foot in the water wary. Adults can be over 5 meters long and weigh over 500 kilos. Their thick, armor-like skin, tinged with grey-brown and mixed with river mud, makes them invisible ghosts under the water. Their sparkling yellow eyes and high-set nostrils allow them to observe and breathe, even when most of their bodies are hidden deep below. They are masters of ambush, so patient that they can lie still for hours, waiting for a careless step. And now, downstream of the Mara, the water surface begins to ripple. In the distance, columns of yellow dust roll up from the Savannah. Signs of approaching migration. From the vast Savannah, stretches of yellow grass stretch to the horizon. The sound of the wind mingles with the hooves of a herd of antelope moving in the distance. Beneath the silty waters of the Mara River, the Nile crocodile slithered silently. Its massive body almost disappeared in the gentle ripples, only its yellow eyes and rough back exposed above the water. With each flick of its tail, it moved closer, but still kept its slow, calculating pace. It knew that not far away was one of the most ferocious creatures in these waters. An adult hippo, weighing nearly 3 tons, stood half in the water, its jaws half open, its 50-centimeter-long fangs gleaming in the sunlight. This was its territory. In the world of hippos, any creature that came too close to the shore where the herd rested was considered a threat. In this river, there were invisible boundaries drawn by force. For this crocodile, one wrong move could turn predator into prey. It had inadvertently invaded the personal space of one of Africa's most temperamental creatures. The crocodile felt it too. The air seemed to tense. With a bite force of over 1/800 psi from the hippo, it could break a crocodile's bones in seconds. It watched carefully. Suddenly, the hippo charged forward with its jaws wide open. The crocodile was startled, but it was too late. The fight was over. The crocodile decided to retreat, to save its life for the next hunt. The crocodile would continue to look for opportunities elsewhere, while the hippo would quietly bask, dominating its own waters. When the river became quiet again, the Nile crocodile sank to the bottom, disappearing as if it had never been there. But behind that silence, a mysterious life cycle was taking place, guided by primitive instincts that had existed for millions of years. Nile crocodiles are solitary predators, patiently waiting for hours, even days, to strike. But during mating season, these solitary predators become more active than ever. The giant males slowly swim around their territory, emitting deep growls that echo underwater. Only their own kind can hear them. This is a challenge to other rivals and an invitation to the females in the area. Under the murky water, the males will have confrontations to win the right to continue to maintain the next generation. When the female accepts the winner, she will appear in a suggestive position. The couple swims parallel. Their heads touch each other, then wrap their tails like a dance under the water. This is the mating dance of the Nile crocodile, both gentle and full of hidden meanings. The mating process takes place underwater, quickly, but enough to ensure the survival of the next generation. Although it seems gentle, this behavior actually reflects a reproductive power. Only the strongest males, capable of conquering opponents and impressing the females, are allowed to approach. This dance is both a gentle cooperation and a hidden challenge between individuals during the mating season. After about 3 months of pregnancy, the female crocodile leaves the water, looking for a place to build a nest. Each nest can contain anywhere from 25 to more than 80 eggs, which she carefully covers to retain heat. During incubation, the mother stays nearby, alert for predators. About 90 days later, faint cries signal that the eggs have hatched. The mother digs, scoops up each young one, and carries them safely to the water. Despite the protection, only a small fraction of the baby crocodiles survive the first year. The rest become meals for other predators. And as the morning sun shines down on the Mara River, the tiny creatures begin their harsh life cycle, carrying with them the legacy of one of Africa's greatest predators. Under a blazing dry season sky, golden dust begins to roll up from the savannah. In the distance, black dots move in an endless stream. The wildebeest herd is preparing for the Great Migration. They have muscular bodies, grey-brown fur mixed with black and curved horns pointing out to both sides. They walk without stopping. This is one of the greatest migratory species on the planet. Every year, more than 1 million individuals cross Kenya and Tanzania in the endless circle of life. They search for green pastures and new water sources. They travel in giant herds. Each herd can number up to tens of thousands of individuals, stretching across the savannah. Along with them, zebras and antelopes also join the journey. All create a sea of mobile life, shaking the ground with the sound of pounding hooves. The rainy season is their mating time. Males fight for access to females with fierce fights. After about 8 months of pregnancy, the female will give birth to a calf, usually at the beginning of the next rainy season, when the pastures are greenest and food is most abundant. These young will quickly join the migration rhythm, embarking on the first journey of their lives. The echoes of thousands of individuals signaled that the moment to cross the Mara River had come. But beneath the murky water, the yellow eyes of the Nile crocodiles were still coldly watching. They had waited for this moment for months. A powerful leader led the way, followed by a herd of wildebeests, a lively stream of hundreds of bodies rushing across the water. In the middle of the river, a giant black shadow crept forward. The Nile crocodile was as still as a dead log. But in those yellow eyes, every movement on the water's surface was recorded. The pounding of the migrating herd's hooves echoed down through the water, like the beating of a war drum. It had been starving for weeks, and every beat of its heart now harmonized with the chaotic sounds above. It waited patiently. As soon as a wildebeest set foot in, the water around it seemed to freeze. The whole herd had also sensed the danger. Suddenly, the Nile crocodile burst out of the murky water, spraying water. In a split second, the Nile crocodile dragged its victim deep into the merciless maelstrom of the Mara River. The hunt was over. In this world, life is paid for by the death of others, and for that unfortunate antelope, the great migration journey has ended, and its herd must continue for new journeys on the other side of the river. On another branch of the river, where the water reflects the blazing sun of noon, a species is still quietly dominating. Hippos, giants of the river, spend most of their time bathing in the cool river to escape the scorching heat of the savannah. Hippos are a closely knit herd, often gathering in large groups of up to several dozen individuals. All under the control of a dominant male. Under the leader, order in the herd is strictly maintained. But when mating season comes, the normally calm water suddenly turns into an arena. The scent of pheromones spreads in the hot, humid steam, like an underground fire that awakens the primitive instincts of these giants. From afar, a young male approached, eyes wide open, ears twitching slightly, body floating above the water more than usual. At that moment, the dominant male also looked up. The two giants slowly approached, the water between them foaming white. Their eyes locked on each other, each muscle tensed like a spring ready to burst. The air thickened. Suddenly, they rushed at each other. The fierce bite decided everything. The fight ended. The winner had protected his territory and gained full access to the females in the herd. A short silence fell over the river. Only the sound of water remained. The mating season comes mainly during the rainy season. The whole process takes place underwater. After mating, the female will be pregnant for about 8 months. When it is time to give birth, they separate from the herd, finding a quiet place in the river to give birth. The young, weighing between 25 and 50 kilograms, are born underwater and immediately surface to take their first breath. During the first weeks, the mother stays close by, protecting her young from danger. Gradually, they return to the flock, where the life cycle on the river continues, despite the lurking dangers. On the calm surface of the river, when the ripples only sway slightly in the sunlight, life continues to take place in every space. Along the banks of the Mara River, the African fish eagle leisurely perches on a high branch, its golden eyes always watching the water. They are the best hunters of the river. Their main menu is fish, sometimes waterfowl or even young crocodiles. Each meal begins with patience, waiting for prey to appear within reach. Then, it will use its strong curved claws and sharp beak to enjoy its prey. It is not only a symbol of the power of the Mara sky, but also an important link that keeps the ecosystem of this river balanced. From the sky to the bottom of the water, the Mara ecosystem changes color completely. In a nearby river, the atmosphere is completely different. Under the muddy water, long black shadows silently crawl. It is the river's notorious predators, the Nile crocodiles. They are lurking near the place where the hippos rest, their yellow eyes bulging like deadly signal lights. For them, an adult hippo is a tough opponent, but a small baby hippo is a golden opportunity. A baby hippo is not strong enough to swim fast, does not have a strong bite, and most of all, is not fully aware of the danger that is approaching little by little under the calm water that seems harmless. Under the muddy water, the sunlight penetrating the river surface is only a weak strip of light, swaying with each ripple. The midday heat of the Mara River created a thick, sultry atmosphere. Above, the river surface seemed calm. Near the shore, a young hippo, its smooth pink-grey skin was slowly wagging its tail. Its round, clear eyes followed the ripples. It did not know that each time it swam a little further, it was getting closer to the dangerous boundary. Not far away, the mother hippo was watching, her small ears swiveling constantly. Her eyes narrowed, tracking every movement within her radius. But under the still water, a long shadow was moving silently. Not just one crocodile, but a whole group. They moved so slowly that they were almost standing still. Each slight flick of their tails was only to adjust their direction, sinking deep. Cold golden eyes locked on the target. Just a small opening would be their chance. The bright sunlight reflected on the ripples around the baby hippo, unintentionally making it more prominent in the sight of the ambushers. In a split second, the water surface seemed to burst. The crocodiles jumped up, locking onto the small body. The death roll had decided the fate of the baby hippo. The hunt was quickly over. The group of crocodiles disappeared into the deep water, carrying the prey past the boundary of protection. For the mother hippo, all that remained was helplessness and a terrifying silence. On the Mara River, peace returns, but at the bottom of the water, the cycle of life and death continues, without a moment's pause. Under the endless sky of the Mara, from the patient ambush of the Nile crocodiles, the persistent herds of wildebeest, the giant hippos defending their territories, to the resilient zebras on their migration journeys, all follow a single rule: adapt or be eliminated. Here, life is never free. Every meal of the hunter is a loss of the prey, and every life that exists is paid for by strength, intelligence, or luck. The Mara River still flows, carrying both glory and tragedy, weaving an endless story of survival. And that is what has kept this land one of the most majestic wild stages on the planet. If you love the fierce survival journeys of nature, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any battles.